Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning. Okay, so people are still joining. So I'll just tell you what are going to be the today's topics. Today we are going to continue after doing the revision of important topics of yesterday. We are going to do the continuation with JVM architecture, and then we are going to enter object-oriented programming first principle of encapsulation, which leads to data hiding and security. So in short, we are just going to enter your class programming. What is class, object, constructors, all associated concepts we will take. And then we are going to enter packages, setting of the class path, why package, what is package, etc. So before I start the revision, can you just give me your open feedback, honest feedback about regarding yesterday's assignments? Did you find it manageable? Has anyone completed it? Completed? Okay, so most of you are saying yes. Right. So I have requested sir to arrange something like a poll, which will tell me exactly, because there is we have a huge group, 230 plus. Mohit, I will just take a look at it and I'll tell you. So here, in a minute, I'll explain that. So others, I was talking about the assignment. So here, assignment, some of you are saying, but today onwards, we will have some kind of poll where everyone has to tell me, that is whether they have completed the assignment or not. That is for my own feedback. So I need to know how much whatever I'm saying is reaching you. Okay, so some code has been sent. Actually, this kind of exercise, tomorrow, next time onwards, we will do it in the lab. But today, since you have sent it, we'll just solve it together and we'll continue. So here, I is initialized to -10, as everyone can see. K, of course, there would be some declaration of K above, I guess. So I less than 0. If I less than 0, I is minus I. So minus I, get the absolute value as it is said. And value of I is going to be -10 itself. And value of K is going to be 10. So, are you understanding who's asking me, who is asking? See, you are printing two values, SOP, we are printing two values. So tell me, do you understand this ternary operator? This is nothing but your ternary operator. So how do you solve it? It is like if-else condition. So I will say this, if I is less than 0, then the first branch is executed. So I becomes -I. So what is the value of this? So key will be assigned the value of -I. So what will be minus of -10? +10. So K gets the value of +10, but value of I doesn't change. So the value of I is still -10 and K has become the +10 value. You understood the explanation? Next time onwards, please ask these kind of questions in the lab session because it is like a lab exercise. You understood it? Okay. So please let us follow that because, theoretical concept wise and all, you have queries because we have a long lab session at any point of time to ask. So with this, let us continue with our quick revision of yesterday's important concepts and continue to today's topics. So start answering. The important parts only I'm discussing. Everyone knows there are two categories of Java data types. Answer. Which are the two categories of Java data types? Primitive types and the references. Absolutely correct. So one is the primitive types and the other one is reference types. So that reference type category we are going to enter today. So if I ask you, again a quick revision, under primitive types, the primitive types will be value holding types or address holding types. Already I got the answer. Of course, it is a value holding type. And when you talk about reference, what will reference hold? Reference type of a variable. What it will hold? Address of the object. It is something like an internal representation of the address of the object, which is dynamically created on the heap. Okay, so that's a basic difference between a primitive versus reference type. Now tell me, under primitive types, which are the two categories? Primitive types, which two categories we are talking about? The Boolean, which is non-numeric, and the numeric one. Which are the values Boolean can hold? True or false. Now come to the numeric one. Let us start with the character. Why character is considered as the numeric? Because you can assign the Unicode value, some int value also to the character. That is why it is considered as the numeric one. In short, you can say char ch is equal to 100. Okay, so that is allowed. That is possible. Exactly. So how many bytes character occupies in the memory? Already people have answered 2 bytes. Is it a signed character or is it an unsigned character? It is an unsigned character. And why Java character is 2 bytes and not a single byte, 1 byte ASCII character? To support universal encoding, character encoding. Guys, I don't know how much of reading you have done yesterday. The reading work, by the way, you should not do it in the lab. In the lab, you just refer to the day-wise, read me day 1, read me day 2. But detailed reading, you should do it in the evening time or some, nighttime reading or something. So if you see day 1 help, in the readmes, I have talked about regarding Unicode, universal encoding, character encoding convention. So if anyone is having a doubt, please refer to that. Okay, so going ahead. So we were talking about character. Character is 2 bytes. Now tell me, from byte, now I'm shifting to other numeric types. So byte, short, int, and long. How many bytes it occupies in the memory? 1, 2, 4, 8 is the correct answer. Everyone is clear? Are these signed data types or unsigned data types? They are signed data types, and it follows a typical specific IEEE convention, which indicates how the negative numbers are represented in the memory, how any number is represented in the memory using 2's complement. So which is the sign bit in our numbers? Most significant bit. So if the most significant bit is 0, the number is treated as a positive or negative number? Positive number. Otherwise, it is taken as considered as the negative number. And when you talk about computing 2's complement, you just have to take 1's complement and plus 1, add 1 to it. Okay, so that is the correct answer. Next one. So when you talk about, I forgot to ask you a question. Boolean data type, is it having any fixed Java specified value or is it JVM specific? Answer is as per the JVM specification. So whatever is the underlying JVM, everyone knows JVM is platform specific. It is not platform independent. So as per the JVM, the Boolean data type will be allocated, memory allocated, either 1 byte or 1 bit or multiple bytes internally. Next one. Then we have the real or the floating types, where you can have single precision floating point arithmetic or double precision. So when I talk about float, how many bytes it occupies in the memory? Most significant bit, 4 is the correct answer. 8 is for double, guys. So tell me, what is it? How many bits are reserved for exponent in float? And exactly 8. 8 is the answer. 11 is for double. And then the remaining bits, 23 bits are gone for, reserved for the fractional part. Next one. For double, it's a double precision floating point number. It is 11 bits are reserved. First bit is, of course, MSB. 11 bits are reserved for the exponent. And remaining bits are reserved for, 52 are for fractional part. So now, next topic which we had, which is an interesting one, are types of conversion in primitive types. Because we have not yet entered the reference types, which we plan to do today. So types of conversion in primitive data types. So what are the 2 types of conversions you have seen yesterday? Let's see. Let me see the answer. widening and narrowing. Absolutely correct. You can always write in short form. Generally, I will understand your short forms. So one is widening, and so that is also called as automatic conversion, or also called as automatic promotion. Okay. So when I say automatic promotion, who is going to perform it automatically? Is it going to be done by the programmer, or is it going to be done by the compiler? Answer. No, JVM is the wrong answer. It is going to be done by the compiler. Okay. So can anyone give me an example of it? Example makes it always clear. So always, whenever you are explaining your point in interviews and all, supplement it by example. Absolutely correct. So all these are correct examples. So for example, when you say byte to int, I'm just taking your examples, whatever you have this. Short to double. Now let me ask you the question. Is long to float automatic, or is float to long automatic? Answer is long to float is automatic. And then you have to know the underlying rule. When will Java compiler automatically promote the data type? There are two rules. One is the source data type has to be compatible with the destination data type. So in this case, what is the source data type? Long. What is the destination data type? Float. Both of them are numeric ones, compatible. Got this? And what is the next rule? The next rule is Java compiler doesn't go by how many bytes are allocated. It goes by the value, the range of the values which can be supported by a particular data type. So tell me, you have already told me the exponent, mantis, etc. part. So which data type can store larger or a bigger or a wider range of values? Is it long or is it float? Answer is it is float, because of that exponent mantissa arithmetic. I have given you the readme, actual values are quoted, and that is why it is considered as the automatic promotion. Which is the next one, which is the opposite of one, narrowing conversion. So tell me, who is going to perform this narrowing conversion? Java compiler or a programmer? J for Java compiler, P for programmer. Answer is programmer. So performed by, guys, my suggestion to you is this kind of, this is an interactive, interactive, what do you say, learning. So all of it, whatever we say and this, I write it in the daily readmes. So quickly, on a daily basis, you go through that, you will have an immediate summary, immediate feel of what we did on a particular day. That's the request. So this is performed by the programmer. You got that? And example, please. Any example, one or two examples will be sufficient. Yes, we achieve it. Okay, how do we achieve it? So we achieve it by the typecasting. Using typecasting is a very right answer. Give me an example, please. So many examples. You're absolutely right. So double to float. Double is going to hold the larger magnitude of values. So how can it, if you assign a double value to float, think in example always. Float f equal to, let's say 1.234. So the right hand side is double and you are trying to lose the precision. Compiler will not allow. Okay. So double to float and so many. So int to short, etc. So these are the examples of your narrowing conversions. Solve as a quick this. Answer the question. I'm just highlighting. You just have to tell me compiler error or no error. Float to wrong is also correct. Yes, may lose some information. May lose the least significant bits precision. This is no compiler error. Answer the next question, please. Int data equal to B1. Compiler error or no error? Answer is no error. Why there was no error? Everyone knows the range of bytes, minus 128 to 127 fitting. This is going from, what is the RHS data type? Byte. So byte to int conversion, why should compiler crypt? It's an automatic promotion. Next one, please. Compiler error or no error? Of course, compiler error, because here, why, what is here? Because you are going from double, you are trying to assign double to a float. So here, double to float requires typecasting. Solution everyone knows. You can either make this LHS type as operand type as double, or you can put a typecast. But if you write it as it is, 100% Java compiler error. If you try to do the opposite thing, float to double, compiler error or no error? Answer is no compiler error. This is long number. So here I'm assigning it. Okay, you tell me, compiler error or not, the last one. Answer is again no compiler error. Long to float is, of course, automatically promoted. Answer this. What will be the data type of the result of following operations? So if the two operands are byte and byte, what will be the result here? Let me see what you're saying. It is int, absolutely correct. So byte and byte results into int. Any operation which involves byte and short automatically promoted to integer. Very right. Any operation involving two short operands, again it is an integer. If it is integer and long, which one? It will be long type of a, the resulting type will be automatically promoted to long. If it is long and float, what it will be? It will be, of course, the one which carries the higher magnitude of ranges values is float. So float. Between float and double, you know the answer, double. And now generically, if one operand is byte or short or int or long or float, and the other operand is double, the whole expression, the resulting expression, result will be automatically promoted to double. Are we completely clear on this? Is everyone 100% clear on whatever we revised? So great. So then we had started discussing the JVM architecture. So of course we will revise that, and then we will continue to object-oriented programming. So let me just open that diagram. You have that diagram now, so you can keep it open. My suggestion is, even if you're not coding parallelly with me, that is fine, absolutely. But at least you should log in with your computers, laptops or desktops or whatever you're having, so that, whenever I say just open this, or if I send you some code sample and just have a look at it, you should be in a position to do that. Okay. So it should not be like, theory session means I'm just, I'm just logged in from my mobile or whatever, and I'm just listening. You participate into this and you will definitely enjoy. Your understanding will increase. Okay. So what is this diagram about? The title is JVM architecture. So everyone knows there is a JDK, Java Development Kit, which is Java SE, which has which has two type of contents: development tools and a JRE. Development tools which you have used are Java compiler and Java runtime. Under JRE, you have Java libraries, Java API libraries, and all these libraries are bundled into jar files. What does jar stand for? Jar stands for Java Application Archive. So there is a jar called as rt.jar, runtime.jar. So that has all the packages. Now from JDK 9 onwards, this was the story till JDK 8. Now JDK 9 onwards, they have introduced modular system. So see, functionally similar classes are bundled into packages. And further, from Java 9 onwards, they have introduced a modular system, module-based system. So module is nothing but the collection of packages. So this is little bit out of topic or out of context, but just if you hear the word somewhere module is nothing but a collection of functionally similar packages. I'll talk about modules later. So coming back to JRE, one portion is Java API libraries and the other portion is JVM, and that is what we are discussing. Am I discussing it in a complete detail or complete this? And of course not. We are still into the first day, second day kind of thing. So essential things only I'll explain. Guys, in yesterday's Core Java assignment, I had given you one reference link. That author has really explained in simple words the JVM architecture. So part of it we are covering. Part of it such as class loader architecture, garbage collection collection process in detail we will be explaining or we'll be understanding over the days. Okay, so let us get started. So imagine that you had written a simple class hello world.java containing class hello world, public static void main, and simple system.out.println welcome to Java. You have compiled it. So Java C, yesterday I was seeing some of you were struggling still. Java C space, which is the option, which is the flag we supply for supplying the directory name -d option. After -d, after -d, space again, then you have to supply the name of the folder. So today I'll be creating folder structure day 2. Tomorrow onwards, IDE we will join and IDE will create the folder structures for us. But at least once or twice, or at least for a couple of days, you should be able to do it on your own. That is why I'm troubling you. Okay. So under day 2, we will have SRC to keep the Java sources. We will have bin folder to create the .class files. Okay. So I was talking about how will you compile. So Java C -d followed by 2 dots. What are these 2 dots for? To take it to the parent folder, which is day 2. And then you say /bin because that is where you want to place your .class files. Space followed by name of the Java source. So either you can say star.java and all the Java sources will be compiled into .class files, or if you want to say, you can simply say hello world.java and that gets compiled. So now your compilation is done. Then you CD is for change directory. Then you change directory /bin. So you are now in the bin folder. And there you invoke Java as the command line invocation to start the JVM, followed by name of the class containing the main method. So how we do that? Java followed by hello world. So that was the opening statement. So once you say Java followed by hello world, your JVM starts. Your JVM is launched. But what is JVM? JVM is nothing but a, I know Java virtual machine, of course, but it is nothing but a process running on the top of your operating system. So operating system will give the memory either derived from the main memory, which is RAM, or from anywhere. So that is internal to the operating system. We are not exposed to that. So operating system OS will give some memory to the JVM. And now we will understand how the memory areas are and what all happens. Everyone clear so far? So these are so when you say Java hello world, which all class files will be, before I say, the first block, opening block of JVM is the class loader subsystem. Okay, so there are different variety of class loaders and there are 3 distinct phases of class loaders. So all that details later. So tell me, will class loader load only required classes in the JVM's memory or all classes if you have said import java.io.star? Answer is only required classes. So only when the execution comes to the line where you have said, for example, scanner sc equal to new scanner system.in, at that point scanner class will be loaded in the memory. So more about this when I take you to class programming. So class loader is going to load required classes, only the classes which you are using in the application into your JVM's memory. But the moment I say that, you have to understand what all memory areas, what all, runtime data areas JVM has. So let's start. The most important are, the first three, but we will discuss the others also today. Okay, so coming back. So the first one is the method area. So it's a revision. So I hope you have gone through it. So tell me, how many method areas would be there for a particular JVM, per JVM? Answer is exactly one. So even later means much later, end of core Java, the last topic I take in core Java is multi-threading because it's an advanced topic. So even when you divide the Java application into concurrent parallel threads, maybe 10. So your Java application has created 10 concurrent threads, 10 asynchronous flow of control. How many method areas would be there? 1 or 10? Answer is one single method area. In short, all those threads belonging to the same process as a JVM, they will be sharing the single copy of a method area. Just remember these statements. Actual meaning you will get it when we enter multi-threading. So then you have to understand what exactly is stored in a method area. It is a class specific information. So whenever you are saying, whenever you are saying that, okay, I want to use the scanner. So scanner class has to be loaded in the memory. So where is the scanner class information going to get loaded? In the method area, heap or a stack? Answer is it will get loaded in the method area. So this will have loaded class information. And you will see, I don't think today, maybe tomorrow, the static data members are memory allocated exactly once because those are called as class variables. Okay, so so static data members. Then the whatever is part of that dot class file. Today we will be writing some employee class, box class, whatever classes. So the constructors, methods, entire dot class file, the bytecode part will get loaded in the method area. And from JDK 1.8 onwards, what they have done is, before JDK 1.8, this method area was called as permanent generation space, abbreviated as permgen space. And it used to be limited in the size. So what used to happen earlier? Earlier means before JDK 1.8, before Java 8, it used to get full whenever you are loading more and more classes. And we used to get out of memory error. So Java guys realized that, and from JDK 1.8 onwards, it is termed as meta space. It's not only the name which has changed, but meta space is actually allocated from the virtual memory, that is RAM of your computer. So as long as, so there are very less chances of you getting out of memory error. Because even if you keep loading for your projects and all, you'll have so many classes to load. So even if the number of classes you need to load keep on increasing, there's no limit on the memory because it is completely allocated from the native memory or the virtual memory of your computer. So this is the improvisation. They have done it JDK 1.8 onwards. That's about your method area. Now answer the next question. Tell me, how many copies of heap you have in a particular JVM? Answer is one single copy. So one copy of heap per JVM. You got that? So the same single copy of a heap will be shared across multiple threads belonging to the same JVM, right? And most importantly, it is also called as Java object heap. And this is where whenever we create our first object, today we'll be having classes, objects, everything. So the objects will be memory allocated in the Java heap. But soon you are going to see object will have a state and it will have a behavior. That's the crux of object-oriented programming. So which part of the object will be memory allocated on the heap? Answer is only the state of the object. So you will see, we will be drawing the memory pictures very soon. So you will see that it is only the state of the object, nothing but the instance variables. Non-static data members will be memory allocated on the heap. And anyone wants to tell me where will be the methods, where will be the functionality memory allocated? In which memory area? The method area. No, stack is a wrong answer. Stack is only for method local information. The method area is where I've already said, the static data members, constructors, and the code, method code, the byte code is all memory allocated into the method area. Okay, so state will be on the heap and behavior part will be the part of byte codes dot class files that will be loaded in the method area. So this was about the first two. Now the next ones. The third most important one is Java stacks. See the plural, guys, stacks. That itself should give you clue. How many Java stacks would be there in a given JVM? One per JVM or one per thread? Answer is one per thread. Very right answer. So here, if you have got a stack, Java stack, if you have got a JVM, which is created, suppose 5 different threads. So there would be 5 stacks, in the sense 1 stack per thread. So this is created per basis. So anytime a new thread is started, JVM will allocate a stack for it. JVM will create a stack for it. And you know, stack of plates, like how we say stack of plates, this will be stack of stack frames. So individual stack, which is per thread basis, will consist of a stack frame. And what will the stack frame consist of typically? Method local information. So Shivani, because you had answered something wrongly, I'm just taking a name. There's nothing personal. So here, the method code is not stored. The actual method instructions, that this method has to compute the volume or it has to display the details. That code is in the method area. But method local information means what? If there are any method arguments which you are passing to the function, to the method, if you have created any local variables, within the method, or if your method is returning certain values, this is that method local information which is going to be pushed, which is going to be stored on a particular stack frame. Okay, so this is the meaning of what I said. I hope you are clear. Great. So now let us expand, let us zoom out on the Java stack. This is where I think we had stopped yesterday. So look at this code. I'm just re-explaining the whole thing. It's a revision plus continuation. So think of a simple code, public static void main. Suppose you have written it in something like class test. Okay. And then this is, the dots are some business logic, some code in the main method. Main is calling method 1, M1. M1 is calling M2 and M2 is further calling M3. So here, why I have taken this example to explain to you exactly how the stack works. So start. Who is going to create? Okay, let me rephrase my question. When you start the JVM, which are the 2 threads, which are the 2 system threads which any JVM will create? Name the 2 system threads. One is main and other one is garbage collector. Absolutely right. So ignore garbage collector because we have not reached there. Can anyone tell me, the moment main thread or a garbage collector thread is created, what will be created along with that? Okay, forget the question. How many stacks would be created for these 2 threads? One single stack or 2 different stacks? Of course, 2 separate stacks. So now I'm saying ignore the garbage collector and its stack. Focus on the main thread stack. You got that? So initially the stack will be all empty. So visualize empty stack belonging to the main thread. Okay. Now what is the job of the main thread? To invoke public static void main method, which is supplied with string array of arguments. So answer the question, please. When the main thread starts, main thread has called the main method. Your control is in the main. So can you tell me which stack frame will get pushed onto the main stack? Of course, the first one which will get pushed is the main method stack frame. And you know, there is a string array args. There could be some local variables which you have added. So all that information is encapsulated, is kept under the stack frame. Okay. And currently it is on the top of the stack because there's only one stack frame. Now answer. When main method calls M1, your control is, execution control is, let's say in M1. What is the picture of the stack then? What is the top stack frame? So tell me from top to bottom. M1 followed by main. Absolutely right. So the main stack frame is pushed below and M1 stack frame is at the top because that is the current method of execution. That is the current method which is getting executed. Absolutely correct. When the control goes, M1 calls M2, what will be the picture? M2 stack frame, below that M1. So you can think of it like M2, M1 and main. And when finally control comes from M2 to M3, you are executing method M3. What will be the picture? M3 stack frame. This will be the M2 stack frame. This will be the M1 stack frame. And this will be your main method stack frame. So now this was for pushing the stack frames. Method invocation was happening. Now tell me what will happen when the method M3 returns and control comes back to M2. Which stack frame will be popped out? Is it a FIFO, first in, first out, or is it a LIFO, last in, first out? It's a LIFO. So which stack frame was on the top? M3 stack frame will be popped out. And what will be the picture on the stack? M2, M1, main. Now, let us say M2 returns. So M2 stack frame is popped out. The only information which is kept on the stack is M1 and main. And then likewise, M1 returns. So M1 stack frame is popped out. And when the main method returns here is the code, then the entire stack becomes empty. So this is the understanding I do expect from everyone. So method area, heap, and Java stacks or the thread-based stack. Is the picture clear? Is the understanding complete? Clear? There is of course deeper version, but for basic, for first few days, this is more than sufficient. Now, going ahead with the other parts, because I don't want to leave. I'm not going to go into too much detail because really speaking, they are not required or they're not really needed for the programmer, but good to know. So this PC is nothing but program counter registers. So I'm not highlighted anything because of the less importance, but you can tell me. Anyone wants to tell me how many program counter registers would be there? So you have two options. One per JVM or is it one per thread? So one answer is not sufficient. You give me this answer. One per thread or one per JVM? One per thread it is. Absolutely correct. And what does a program counter register store? Anyone wants to answer that? What does a PC register store? The address of the instruction. Okay. So the address of the instruction to be executed. Okay. So that address, and you can see there are so many threads. Wait a second. There can be 10 different threads executing 10 different instructions. So their address of the instruction is stored in the program counter register. Okay. So that is your PC registers. Last one. Like how you have Java stacks, you have something called as native method stacks. So what is the difference between a Java method and a native method? Java method obviously is written using Java syntax. But when you say native method is the one which is written in a platform specific manner. For example, in simple English, if you think about languages such as C or C++, whenever C or C++ compiler compiles the code, does it give you the output in a native platform specific manner or platform independent manner? I'm talking about C, C++. Answer is, it gives you the platform specific native code. Okay. So such methods which are written in a platform specific manner using something like assembly language or using C or C++, these are the native methods. But native method information, such as what are method local information, has to be stored. So is it mixed up into Java stacks? Answer is no. So if you have written, if in your Java application, if you are calling some method from C, C++, Python, any other language, okay, so that information is pushed on the native method stacks. But in your syllabus, in your contents, we are not talking about, we don't have the native methods. So this was just an extra bit of information. And then you have, so this was the whole description about memory areas, runtime data areas. And then you have a JVM as an execution engine. The other part of JVM, see, you can see the parts clearly. Class loader subsystem, runtime data areas, and the execution engine, which internally consists of Java interpreter, which will translate platform independent bytecode to platform specific code. And then you have a JIT compiler, just-in-time compiler, hotspot profiler, and garbage collector. But more information about the internals about the execution engine some other day. So today I wanted you to focus upon largely 3 memory areas, including method area, heap, and a Java stack. So this part of the, how much is the size? Size is as per the internal JVM, this one, JVM specification. So it is a completely platform specific. So PC register, it's a growable. It has, now the PC register could be memory allocated from the RAM or the actual operating system. I mean, your microprocessor, CPU's register. It is all abstracted, hidden. JVM is the one who is going to manage it. Shubham. All these memory areas are completely managed by the JVM. Okay. So that was the, I would say the detailed, but yeah, semi-detailed look at memory areas. So this was a continuation of our yesterday's discussion. Now let us get started with the first topic of, I mean, this was also the first topic, but let us enter the object-oriented programming. So this is where now the things will start getting really interesting. So here I have, since it is such an important concept, there are separate readmes for you to refer. So when I share day 2 health, you will see all of that. I'll explain the nature, contents of the help in the lab session directly. The required ones only I will explain. So you could be having some background of object-oriented programming, but I'm not making any assumptions. So I'm going to show you everything from scratch. So I will just highlight and you read this and I'll start explaining with examples. Please read. Okay, so let's start talking about 2 key concepts in the object-oriented principles, which are the foundations. So here, class and object is the basic concept, basic go-to concept about your this thing. What is it called? Object OOPS principle. And the best part of it is it revolves around, if you look around, the world is full of entities such as persons, student, fruits, flowers, bank accounts, flights, students, and faculties, everything. So it is derived from the real life entities. So let's identify a class. Java is fully encapsulated language. What is the meaning of that? Anything and everything you want to write, you cannot write it outside the class. You will be defining the data members as well as the functionality which you want to operate on the data will be tied, will be fully encapsulated within a class structure. So unless and until you understand what is class, impossible to understand further things. So class is typically a user-defined type, UDT. Okay. And it is also known as the prototype or also called as the logical template. And class is the basic template from which objects will be created. But this sounds very theoretical. So example is required. So let me take the famous example, common example to explain the concept. Suppose you have already got some piece of land and you want to build a house over it. So what you do, you yourself are not expert. So what you do is you hire an architect. Okay. And what does an architect produce? The architect produces blueprints. I hope you know the terms. So blueprints is just a design. It could be now, it may not be on the paper. It could be a 3D design or whatever I mean. So it will give the blueprint is the word they use. So tell me, when a blueprint is produced, are you going to say that my house is built? It's a simple question, yes or no? Of course not. It is just on a paper or it is just on a 3D design somewhere. So this is nothing but a prototype or a template. And tell me, suppose, okay, so architect has given you the prototype or the blueprint. It gets passed from the whatever municipal corporation or whatever your local governing body. You get the permission to build and then the house is constructed. So when you say that a particular house is constructed, that is where physically house or a bungalow or an apartment scheme or whatever is actually present. So that is equivalent to the object. Okay, so class is equivalent or blueprint is equivalent to the class and the plan, exactly Pushkaraj, and the end product, which is the built house, is nothing but the object. Now tell me, suppose your neighbor liked your house too much. You know, a neighbor in the sense, okay, your friend or your family or relative or somebody. So can I build, I as a developer builder, can I build another house from the same blueprint? Is it possible? Of course, yes. So from the same class, can I create multiple instances, multiple objects? Of course, yes. So that was the analogy to give you the idea about finally, otherwise, you know, you feel so abstract. What is finally a class? What is finally an object? To give you that. Another example. Whenever you are, so suppose you are taking an admission to CDAC or whatever, some institute or anything. Okay. So you are given a registration form. Everyone knows online registration form or physical actual on paper doesn't matter. So that is a blank form. It is nothing but a logical template. So if I have just got a registration form, have I actually got the students admitted into my system? Of course not. But when you come in and you fill up the form and you pay some amount or whatever fees and all that, then the admission is secured. So now that registration form is nothing but a blank template. And from that registration form, the same registration form can be used to admit to register multiple students. Are you getting the picture? So that class is nothing but a prototype. So what has to be created first? Class has to be created first or object gets created first? Obvious question, dumb question. Of course, a class has to be created first. Okay, so that is where we are starting. We are going to talk about classes, and then of course we are going to create the instance and continue. So once you say a class, okay, before I say the further statement, we are talking about object-oriented programming principles. So in object-oriented programming principles, to give you the easy extensibility, to give you the easy debugging and maintenance facilities, we always think in two different parts. One is the data part and one is the actions upon the data part. So if you have done any C programming, it's a procedural programming language. It's not an object-oriented programming language at all. So if you are building a system, a project in C, if you're writing it in C, you start thinking about the functionality. But here, if you're thinking in Scala, which is again object-oriented, or Python, or your Java, or C++, you think about the data first. So whenever we start writing a class in couple of minutes, you will always identify what are the data members, what is the data part of it, and then we will think about the actions which you can perform upon that data. Okay, so what comes first, the data or the actions? Answer is the data comes first. Data is the most valued commodity in your object-oriented world, and that data is nothing but the state. Okay, so now you'll understand my next statement. So what does a class represent? It represents set of properties. In simple English, nothing but the data members. Or, I mean, I shouldn't say set of properties, and is the word I should say. And the methods are nothing but the actions. So set of properties represents data part. And the methods are nothing but the functions. If you are coming to me from C++ background, we call it as functions. Here are nothing but methods, nothing but the actions upon the data. And those actions or those properties or those data members will be common to all the objects of the same type. I gave you the analogy. When you are filling, suppose you have got 250 or 234 currently I can see. So 230 plus. So all of you have filled up the same registration form, which asks you about your first name, last name, middle name, contact number, email ID, etc. Okay. So the data members are the same. Are you getting my point? But they will have different values. You could be having your different, will be having your different email IDs, different addresses, etc. So this is what a class represents. So now you will say we have been creating classes from first day in COP. I agree, but not from the object-oriented perspective. So that is what we are entering today. So when you write a class, typically what all it will contain, I have given you the list. 100% you won't understand because some topics are ahead of time. But whenever I'm giving you the README, it should be complete. So start. The moment you say a class is being declared, first you think about access specifier. So totally there are 4 access specifiers. You all know that: private, default, protected, and public. But which are the only legal access specifiers for class? Either it can be public, which can be accessed from anywhere, or it can have the default access, no keyword required, which is visible in the current package, which is mapped to a current folder. So which 2 legal access specifiers? Either default or public. Guys, after saying so many times, still I was seeing yesterday, I was in the lab, and still people are not following the norms. So give up old habits, wrong habits, and start from scratch. Anytime you write a class, please begin the name of the class with the capital letter, and then follow the camel casing. What is camel casing? The first letter of every word should be uppercase. Otherwise, will the code not compile? Of course, the code will compile. But will the code look like a professional Java code? Absolutely not. So please, the norm means standard design practice, standard programming practices. Start the class name with uppercase and follow camel casing. Tomorrow definitely, we will be starting another object-oriented concepts called as inheritance. So even if you're not You're totally unaware. I mean, inheritance is again a real life word, parent and a child. So child inherits from a parent. So here, coming back to the object-oriented principle, your class can extend, can inherit from the parent class. So you will see more on inheritance, of course, later tomorrow. So here, the class declaration may include the name of the parent class, and the parent classes in Java are referred as superclass. And you will see which type of inheritances are allowed, etc. all tomorrow. But just keep one piece of information in front of you, in the background of your mind, basically. So implicitly, all Java classes come from the common universal superclass, and that common universal superclass is java.lang.object. Those who are complete freshers will not understand inheritance like this, but as I said, I have to give you the complete idea. So one class can extend, can inherit from the parent class, and we will see the syntax and the meaning all tomorrow. You will see again later. Later means in the inheritance day, that is tomorrow. You will see that Java does not allow you to extend from multiple parent classes. But actually, I mean, practically speaking, you need to implement the behaviors from multiple super types. So that is where there is a very interesting concept of Java interfaces. So a typical class declaration can contain the extending from the superclass and implementing behavior from multiple interfaces. Guys, you don't feel, I'm sure if you don't know anything about it, of course you tend to feel lost. But this is just to give you how does a total class get, I mean, what all can be there in a class definition. So if you go from left to right, access specifier, class is the keyword. This is the name of the class with all the norms. Extends is the keyword to supply the inheritance between the classes, and implements is for something called a Java interfaces. So this third point and fourth point will become clearer over time. So this is all included in the class declaration. Now let us step inside the class. So what is it we are having is the body. So the class body will be surrounded by the pair of curly braces. Now I'm trying to explain what all you can write within a class. So here, actually I should have reversed the sequence. So I'm first explaining this. Do we think in data first or do we think in action first? It is always data before action, right? So here, fields. So that we will be declaring data members. There would be two types of data members: static data members, which are class level variables, or so that will be the state of the class, and there would be non-static data members, instance variables, which will be the state of the object. Again, all of it you are going to see with example pretty soon. So this is just a theoretical input. Okay, so fields, you will be declaring the data members, nothing but the variables. Okay, and whenever, I'll talk in example because without example, you'll feel lost. Suppose you think of an employee. So the moment I say, I want to represent an employee in my organization using a class, what will you start writing? Class employee. So can you give me example of the state of the employee, the data members of employee? Give me some examples, please. Employee has a name, absolutely correct. Employee has an ID, salary, age, department where it works, the manager who he reports, right? So all these things, bonus, everything, absolutely correct. So those will be the data members. Now, when you are recruiting, when you are hiring an employee, you need to assign the unique employee ID. You need to store her name. You need to store her salary, department ID, address, phone number, etc. So for initializing, For initializing these data members, you have a special method called as constructor. So what is a constructor? The syntax and all will come later. That's not important. Concept is important. Constructor is a special method which has the same name as the class name. So what will be the name of that constructor for employee class? Employee. And here, the constructors will be used. You can write multiple constructors, overloaded constructors also. Everything will be clear. And that will initialize the new object. That will initialize, I'll rephrase it. Constructors are used for initializing state of the new object or objects. Multiple objects also you can create. So if you want to hire an employee, for hiring an employee, you will be asking your manager or whoever, recruiter, not a recruiter, HR people, that what is the employee ID, what is her name, what is her age, what is her salary, etc. And using those details, user supply details and user supply details, we will be using a constructor to initialize the state. Couple of minutes is all you need to get into the flow. So fields are the data members, and for initializing instance variables, the state of the object, we will be writing a constructor. And then finally, suppose when you are hiring an employee, you have to compute the net salary and pay it on a monthly basis or correct basis. So computing net salary. Maybe you want to promote the employee or demote the employee or transfer the employee from one department to another department. You want to display the employee details. What is it I'm talking about? Am I talking about data here or am I talking about actions on the data here? Functionality, which is called as actions, which are performed on a particular data. So that is nothing but the method, and methods indicate the behavior. So the state is nothing but the non-static data members of the object which will be declared in the class, and behavior is nothing but the functions. But function, we don't call it as functions in Java, we call it as methods. So these are going to be the typical contents of the class. So other than superclass, that inheritance and interface, rest of the things should be suitably clear. And when you talk about examples, just look around you, and it is all based on real life entities. So you can think of a student. So if I want to say today, I can give you an assignment that, okay, give me a class or write a Java application which will represent the student details. That's your student class, or employee, or flight, purchase order, shapes, so many. Okay, so have you got some feel of the concept of a class, which represents the encapsulation? What does it encapsulate together? Two things, the data and the actions which work upon the data. That's our beginning of class programming. Now, which is the next concept you have to understand is the object. So again, it is a fundamental concept, and here in a typical Java application, it's a basic unit. A Java application, you will be creating tons of Java objects, and the two objects will interact with each other using invoking different functionalities, invoking methods. So when you talk about an object is nothing but the instance of the class. So like I gave the analogy, from the common blueprint, you can build multiple bungalows, multiple houses, which have the which are originated, prototype from the same template. But you are so the plan is the same, but the colors to the walls or the furniture which you are going to keep inside, or the whatever beautifications you are adding can be totally different between the different houses. Likewise, here individual object will have its own state. So what are the three constituents? What does a typical object consists of? Three things: state, behavior, and the identity. Identity is optional, but in most of the cases it is recommended. So here, state is nothing but the data members, attributes of the objects, Attributes are known as properties or also understood as instance variables, which are nothing but non-static data members. So if I ask you to configure student class, what is the state of the student? You have your PRN numbers, you have your name, email ID, address, correspondent address, etc. The course you have taken, the marks you have obtained, etc. GPA, etc. So that becomes the state. Behavior, I already said, the action which work upon the data, and individual student will have a unique PRN number. Or if you are into the order entry, or if you are building a e-shop, e-commerce based application, you have invoices. So different invoices will have a unique invoice number, different invoice numbers. Or in case of employees, employee ID. So here, individual identity, unique identity of the object is nothing but the ID. And that is what will allow you to differentiate from one object with another. Okay. So initially, we are not going to focus on identity. When I talk about equality testing and all, we'll enter identity. So the earlier discussion was of the class, and instance of the class is nothing but the object. So now, how do you create the object in Java? How do you create the instance of the class is equal to object in the Java? Answer is same as in C++. But like I said, I'm not making any assumption. So there is a new operator. There is a keyword whose name itself is new. Okay. So there's a new keyword which is used for instantiating the class. So what does this new operator do? It will allocate the memory for a new object. Quick question. Where will be the memory allocated for the new object? Stack, heap, or method area? Of course, in the heap. So memory will be allocated for the new object in the heap, and the new operator, what it does is it returns the reference. So what is a reference? Reference is nothing but the address holder. You know, there are two data types, two categories of data types in Java. Primitive types we have dealt with. Today we'll be entering the reference type of a variable. So what will a reference type of a variable will hold? The address of the object which is created dynamically in the heap. So this is what is the job of the new operator. And using the new operator, you can also, or rather new operator is going to invoke the class constructor. Okay. So example will make it really easy. You have used it, by the way, for scanner. But of course, without going into these details. So today I will take you through these details. So that brings us to the next question. Fine. I said, okay, new keyword and all is fine for creating the object. But how do you write a constructor? So read about this much. And I'll explain word by word. Okay, so start understanding with me. Are you going to write a constructor inside the class or outside the class? Dumb question. But still, I would like to add. Everything and anything and everything is going to be encapsulated within the class. Java is fully encapsulated language. C++ is not. Anyway, so constructor is a special method within a class. So what is the rule of writing a constructor? The constructor method, as in constructor, has the same name as the class name. Okay, so that is the first thing. Then what will be the return type of the constructor? Constructor does not have any explicit return type. You don't supply any return type to the constructor, but implicitly it returns the current object reference. So that part you will understand little later. So currently just follow. You are not going to write any return type, not even void. Okay. So there won't be any explicit return type. Can you supply arguments, parameters to the constructor? Answer is yes. Or can you write a constructor in a parameterless manner, argumentless manner? Answer is yes again. So the constructor may be parameterized or it can be parameterless. But if you write a parameterless constructor, it cannot initialize the state of the Java object to whatever you want, to whatever user needs. So the parameterized constructor is typically used to initialize the state of the object from the user supplied values. All this sounds extremely theoretical, I know that, but I have to build a base. And then only when we start writing the example, then you will understand what I meant. Okay. Now the most important statement. What will happen if you write a class, let's say employee class, student class, box class, bank account class, any class you take it, and if you don't add a constructor to it, will you get a compiler error or not? I never said a global object. Where did I say global? I did not use the term global at all. Answer is you won't get a compiler error. Okay. I said universal superclass of all Java classes is object. Leave aside that fact. That is corresponding to inheritance, which you'll understand tomorrow. Coming back to the point, what I was saying, yeah, if you don't add any constructor, compiler, there won't be any compiler error because, read this, if a class does not explicitly declare any constructor, Java compiler will automatically supply you with, implicitly give you no argument or default constructor, which is parameterized or parameterless. Answer is parameterless. So if you don't write a constructor, your Java compiler will supply you with a default argumentless constructor. But the moment you supply your own constructor, a parameterized constructor, default constructor is no longer available. See, all these terms sound very complex, but the moment you start using an example, you will see it is so easy. So I'll just repeat the last two statements again. If you don't write a constructor, Java C gives you default argumentless constructor. But what is the disadvantage of the default argumentless constructor? It will initialize the state of the object to default values. Think in an example. Suppose you have a class employee. Here you have declared the data members, private int ID, private string name, and let's say private double salary. So this ID, name, and salary will be initialized to the default values by the default constructor. So default constructor is kind of useless, not useful at all if you want to initialize it to a proper state. So that is what I said. If you don't write a constructor, Java compiler gives you one. But the moment you add a parameterized constructor, the default constructor implicitly is no longer available. All of it will be clear in next 10-15 minutes. And then we are saying is the default constructor is going to internally, implicitly call the superclasses constructor. Just think about it. I'll just be back in a second. Okay, in a minute. I'm so sorry. So we were talking about the constructor. So when you don't supply a constructor, default constructor is added. And if you want to initialize the state of the object, then you will have to add your own, don't say override because those are the wrong terms. The state of the object is the instance variable, Rohit. I'll not repeat it just like that. I will give you the example to make you understand. Okay. So coming back to this, we were talking about a constructor either default or argumented one. Now, before I continue writing further code or any code, not further code, any code at all, you need to understand one more thing. Can you add multiple constructors in the same class? Possible or not possible? Answer is 100% possible. I might be saying that whenever I'm recruiting the employee, I'm just saying virtual. All I will initialize is on the ID and name. The salary gets decided later. Something like this. So I might have one constructor which takes on the ID and name. But some employees say, no, you fix our salary and then only we'll join you. Types. So in that case, can I write additional constructor which has ID, name and salary as well? Answer is yes. And these constructors are called as overloaded constructors. So what is that overloading and all? We'll discuss more at the time of writing. So this is more than sufficient information or a background to get us started. So what we are going to do is, we are going to solve, I typically start with a very simple scenario so that the concept becomes clearer. So here, this is our today's sequence file or readme. To understand the concept of the encapsulation of a data and the actions on the data, you have to get the basic feel of a class, object, state, and behavior. This is the objective. This is the task we are solving. So read this task. We will discuss it and we will design and we will implement. So anyone who is parallelly programming, who is already sitting in this, you can always code parallelly with me if you want. But the point is, for each and every one of you, I won't be able to, wait till you finish this. So you can take your call. Either you can do it with me parallelly, or you can wait till the to our lab time, and that time you can configure, you can code, your choice totally. So coming back to the point, what is it we are going to start with? We are going to write a class to represent a 3-dimensional box. Okay. So, boxes are 3-dimensional boxes, which has what all, the moment I say a 3-dimensional box, are you going to think in data members or the state, or are you going to think in the actions which you can perform on the box first? What is it you're going to think in? Data members. I've already given you the answer. So what are the data members? When you visualize a box, what do you visualize it with? Its width, height, and breadth. Okay. Don't say size. Size is a vague term. So here the state. Now that is why I did not answer. Somebody said, please repeat the state. Without just repeating theoretically doesn't make sense. When you think an example, you immediately understand. So here we are going to write a class box in 2 minutes. Here we are going to achieve tight encapsulation. See, encapsulation only means putting the data and the actions together. But tight encapsulation means the outside code should not be able to access any state of the object. So tell me, which is the access specifier which will allow you within the class access? Private. So how do you achieve tight encapsulation? This can be achieved by making all non-static data members, means the state instance variables, you can mark them. You should mark them as private data members. And the moment we mark the state, width, depth, and height, data type, I want to make it as a double precision. So, you can keep it as an integer or double. We are going to mark it as double. And the moment you mark it as private, who will be able to access these data members? Within the class or outside the class? The access will be only within the class. Okay, so that is point number 1. Next is, now answer my next question. So I hope you got the feel of the state, whoever was stuck at that, whoever was lost in that. Now, so what will be the state of my 3D box? 3 simple data members, width, depth, and height. Tomorrow, if I want to add the weight to the box, add additional data member. I want to make it as maybe colored box. So I want to add the color to the box. That is your state. Or if I want to say, is it a, what is it called? The material you have used. Is it a paper, handmade paper, or is it a tin, or is it some other metal? So you can expand on that. Today we are on the first this. So width, height, and depth is sufficient to describe, visualize a box. Now, next question. What will happen if you just write a class box and add the state and do not add any constructor? What will happen if I don't supply any constructor? Tell me. The default constructor will be supplied. But what is the values? What will be the values of the state? It will assign. Somebody had written 0. Wrong answer. It is double, guys. So which is the default initialized value of double? 0.0. So all your dimensions of the box will be initialized to 0.0. It will be a useless box. So if you want to take the order from the customer, okay, and customer will tell you, suppose you are in a box making business, box manufacturing business. So customer walks in and customer says, give me the box having this particular width, this height, and this depth. What is it you require is a parameterized constructor. And I cannot visualize the box without missing dimensions and all. So we will have how many arguments to the constructor? 3 arguments to the constructors we will add, which will be width, depth, and height. Okay. Can you visualize? I'm just discussing the problem statement and discussing the design also, so that when we start implementing, you will not feel lost. Okay. This will be done without ID. ID gives you a lot of ready-made code and stops your thinking. So that's the reason. Tomorrow onwards, yes, tomorrow is it Monday. So this takes care of your state. This takes care of initializing the state. Job done. I mean, semi-done. Now you have to think about what all are the actions you want to take on the data. Again, knowing it is the first day and all that, we'll add now the behavior. State part is over. Now we are talking about the behavior functionality. So those functionalities, those methods which work on the instance variables are called as instance methods. You won't be able to call these instance methods without creating the object. These are not the static methods. So instance methods nothing but means non-static methods, and they will be available only via something called as object reference. We'll talk. You'll know that properly. So what are the details? What are the methods I'm saying is, I want to find out, I as a customer maybe, I want to find out the box details. What is box details? Dimensions of the box. But I don't want it. I can't return 3 different things. Of course, you can put it in the array and you can return. But I'm not talking about that. So I want to convert this into a string representation. Okay. So we are going to write a behavior, a functionality, a method, which will return the string form of dimensions. Okay. So it will return the string, and that string should contain width, depth, and height of the box. So when you talk about writing a method, which is the only method we have been writing so far largely, is the main method, entry point of the execution. Now we are talking about instance method. So whenever you are thinking about any method, including main, okay, you'll have to think about 2 different things: method declaration and the method definition. So method declaration tells you what is to be done. So what it includes is the access specifier. What all can be access specifiers used for the methods as well as data members? Data members, because tight encapsulation, we are going to label it as private. But if I make, listen to the question, there's a question coming up. If I make this method is, suppose get the box dimensions is the method I wrote, as private, will it be useful or will it be useless? When I say useful or useless, what I mean by that is, can any code outside the class, can they access it? Answer is no. Are you getting this? So currently, I have not shown you packages. So we are sitting in the same package, same folder. So default scope is sufficient. So I'll not add any access specifier. When we start talking about packages, access specifiers, we will change it also. So we will label it as a default access specifier. No keyword is required. Then you have to have a return type. You have to supply the name to the method and method argument list. Okay. So I will ask you at the time of writing, what should be the return type, what should be the method arguments, etc. And then what we will write is the actual method definition, which is within the pair of curly braces, the body of the method. So one method we want to write is which will get me the box details in a string form. And the other one is just compute the volume of the box. What is the formula to compute the volume of the box? Simple question, simple answer. The math part of it is very easy. So width, depth, and height. And that will be returned to return the computed volume of the box. So this is the problem statement. Is the objective, is the task, is the problem statement clear to everyone? No ambiguity? Okay. So let us get started. So when I say let us get started, it's all depends on you. It with me, or you just want to sit back and focus on the concepts. Your call. So first thing is, go to your workspace. That is the folder where where you are maintaining the device projects. Guys, I was yesterday looking at, I mean, some of you had shared screen and all. You are not organized enough. Some of you are not organized enough. I'm telling you, maintain something for core Java. So for example, here I have got PGDAC, ICSD, whatever. This is my workspace. And when I take you to advanced Java, I'll create a subfolder, enterprise Java or web Java or whatever, and that will be a different workspace. So yesterday we were working on day one. So here create, if you want, that is, I'm creating day two. Tell me quickly, what are the subfolders we will create under that? One is SRC and the other one is bin for separation. Nobody wants to mix up .java and .class under the same folder. So this is the only for today, because Monday onwards, we are again resuming with your ID. ID manages all of it. Okay, going ahead now. So now here you are going to create, what do you say, a new Java class to represent this box. So here, this is what we are doing. What I'll do is, I will send you this objective. Okay, I'm sharing it on chat. So if you want to download it, you can keep it downloaded. So you will know what is it we are building. What is the simple class we are building. This is our first class we are writing together. So this is what is the objective. So you will have an idea. So now let us create, starting with from scratch. I am not even using Visual VS Code, Visual Studio Code, because that also gives a lot of intelligence. So I don't want to do that. So start with the class programming. Start with class keyword and box. This is the empty one. Okay. So this is, when I say class box, what is the access specifier we are using here? Default. So this will it be available within the same package or from anywhere? Answer is within the same package, same folder. Now, here we are defining the state of the box. So do we want, what we want is type encapsulation. So the moment I say type encapsulation, what should be the access specifier to the data members? All will become private. Unlike C++, there is no private block or public block or whatever. So you don't have like private colon. So understand the syntax, private keyword, and then you can supply the data type. So first you have to declare. It is not like JavaScript where the data type can be figured out at the runtime. It is Java is a statically typed language. What's the meaning of statically typed language? You have to supply the data type before you declare a variable. Mute yourself, guys. Somebody is unmuted. So private double. And I will just have width, depth, and height. Okay. So these are so here. So we are declaring this width, depth, and height. These are nothing but your instance variables. So here, when they will be available, will they be available? Default is also called as package private. Yes, Saurabh. I'm not yet reached the full-fledged access specifier. So package private is a correct word, also used alternatively for default. So what I was saying is instance variables, right? So these are the instance variables. So my question to you all is, will I be able to access these instance variable as box.width, box.depth, box.height, or will I have to create the instance first? Answer is you will have to create the object. Instance of the class is object, and they will be accessible only via its object, its reference. So here, so state is declared. Then if you don't add a constructor, Java compiler will give you a default constructor, but which is argumentless and which will initialize width and depth and height to 0.0. So here we are adding our parameterized constructor to initialize, to initialize complete state of the box. So tell me, how many arguments should I have? What is the complete set? Width, depth, and height. So of course I should have 3 arguments. What is the rule of writing a constructor? It has to be the same name as the class name. Will there be any explicit return type? Absolutely not. So don't specify any return type. So box, and here you can supply the argument list. So what is the argument list user is going to pass is width, depth, and height. So W. Okay. And here, this is the body of the constructor. So tell me, what should be the code I should write inside? Participate more, you will enjoy more, you will understand more, you will not feel sleepy. Width is equal to W, absolutely. And then likewise. So here you can say width is equal to W. What is the next thing? Depth is equal to B. And height is equal to H. So what is it we are doing is, this constructor will be called when we want to create the object, when we want to create the instance of this box class. And whenever they will write a UI, user interface, so using scanner. So we will ask, the customer will walk in and will say that, okay, I want to create a box. So we will ask user, what are the dimensions of the box you want? User will give us width, depth, and height. We are going to use that new keyword, new operator, and that new operator will create the object instance. And at that time, this constructor will get called. So tell me, is the constructor part totally clear till the constructor part? So now a slight twist. So this is fine. This is a working code. Absolutely correct. But now I'm saying, suppose here, if I give the variable name as height itself, and that is the norm, by the way. So here if I give, just focus completely, don't do anything parallelly. So suppose if I say height here, and here if I say height equal to height, okay, what will happen? So the first option is always compile time error, runtime error, or none of above. Ambiguity is the answer, but I want a better this. Compile time error or no error? Answer is no compile time error. Compiler finds this height as the local variable. This is your method local variable argument. And it will, so there was, the answer is no compile time error, no runtime error, but important answer is wrong result. Means, listen to the question. Suppose user gives me the value of the width as 10, 20 and 30. But when you see in the heap, the box object will be created with what values of width, depth and height? Anyone wants to answer? Suppose, Hanif, I already said that if you don't write any access specifier, it is default. So we are happy with default. So the value will be, you are right, 10.0, 20.0 and the height will be 0.0. Why? Because listen to this carefully. When you refer to this height equal to height, what is it we are referring to? Are we referring to this method local variable or are we referring to this instance variable? L for local variable, I for instance variable. Answer is local variable. So guys, there is a what is it called? Your method local variable is shadowing your instance variable. So is there any way to tell the compiler that this has to be the instance variable and this has to be the method local variable? There is a keyword called as this. So come to the, first understand what is it, this keyword, and then we will use it. Okay. So here, regarding this keyword. So this is keyword in Java, same as in, what is it? If you have learned Python, there is a self keyword there. In C++, we have still this. So this is a keyword in Java. And there are two usages. So currently don't worry about the second usage. Read this carefully. To unhide the instance variable from the method local variable, you can use this keyword. But before that, what does this keyword represents? This keyword represents current object reference. This part you will understand little later, but as a inputs I should mention. So this represents the reference or the pointer to the current object. And now you tell me yourself, when I say this dot width LHS, are we referring to the instance variable or a method local variable? This is the pointer to the current object. So of course it is an instance variable. And when I say width, what are we referring to? A method local variable. So ignore it. That we will come to later whenever we need. So here, what should I write? Where should this keyword be placed? On the LHS or on the right hand side? Of course on the LHS. So here, this dot height. So here, now there is no ambiguity. So here, what is the usage of this? This keyword is used to unhide. What from what? Instance variable from local variable. Okay, so this is the first usage of this keyword. Understand me correctly. When you write width, implicitly compiler adds here this dot width because it is the width, it is the depth, it is the height of the current box, current object. But think and answer. Do I have to explicitly say this dot width or it is not required? Is it required or not required? Answer is it is not required because the variable name of the instance variable is different from the method local variable. But if you keep it the same, you will have to use this keyword. For which reason? To unhide instance variable name or instance variable, to separate it from instance variable from local variable. So this is one of the usages of this. But I hope you understood the statement. Implicitly, this keyword is added. So it is, read it as this dot width equal to W. this dot depth equal to D. And here we are explicitly writing this dot height equal to height. Okay, so let me save. Some of you are yesterday having problems in saving also. So focus when I'm doing things. So here I'm saying file. Here I'm saying save as. So let me go to our day 2 folder, day 2 SRC. And even though the rule is the default class name need not match with the file name, generally the norm is match it. So here I will give box. But if you write box.java, you know what will be the file name actually created? Box.java.text. So to remove that .text part of it, I've been doing it so many times yesterday, but people were still making mistakes. Put it in the double quotes and simply write it as box.java. So now it will not add the .text extension. And I have saved this. Okay, so that was just a side note. So now, so I hope you have understood the state of the box. You have understood, I hope, the constructor part. If not, I will take a revision. No, it is not used in the constructor. It is used in the instance part, wherever I have access to it. This keyword, I think, whose question was that? Aditya? Wait a second. Somebody's question. Aditya, this keyword you can use in any non-static context. So you will get the idea of it over time. So constructors can use it, instance methods can use it, static methods you can't use this keyword. Okay, because this represents current object, and for static methods there is no object associated, but it is little ahead of time. Now give me the behavior. Nothing but the methods. So I'm just copying this statement here, because so that I don't have to write all of that. So here, write a method. I've given you already, sent you on the Zoom chat. So I hope you have got it. So here, what we are writing is, I'm writing a lot of comments. Write. Should I write a static method or non-static method? If I want to access the box dimensions, should I write it as a static method or non-static method? Yes, it should be written as the non-static method. Guys, allow me to complete a topic, because you don't have the concept of a full static, non-static. Allow me to continue. At the little later, you will automatically get the answers to your queries. So write a non-static method. Non-static is equal to instance method, which can work on the current instance. So write a non-static method. For which purpose? To return the box details in the string form. And box details are nothing but going to be the dimensions of the box. So now continue. So first, what is it? Now we are writing a method, action on the data. So if everything starts with the access specifier. Somebody had asked me, I said, explained it already, but still, when I don't add an access specifier, guys, which is the access specifier you have? Default. So we are still in the default. So please, those things don't ask the same questions again here. So I'm going to keep it again as default. Now, what should be the first thing in the method? Return type. Anyone wants to tell me what should be the return type of this method? Quickly. You have the answer in front of you. A return type. Guys, you're not reading. That's your problem. Focus on the statement, problem statement. Tell me, what should be the return type of the method? Can you have only one double returning? You will require a double array. There are 3 double dimensions. So instead, I'm saying, put it in a string form. So anytime you are solving some, technical interviews and all, you have to be smart. What people are asking, you have to be clear with that, because answers are there in the questions. So here, of course, the return type is string. What comes after the return type? The method name. So let's keep it simple. Get box dimensions. When I say you are writing, see, I don't know, if you have prior experience and good experience, it is fine. Otherwise, learn with me from scratch. You should not write any method names which you yourself don't understand looking at it. But read the method name, get box dimensions. Nobody will have an ambiguity. It is going to get the current box dimensions, whatever box dimensions. So now I have a question. So this is your method parenthesis. How many arguments should I pass to this method? How many arguments, please, I should be passing to this? I'm looking at your answers. Answer is 0. Those who are saying 0 or none are correct. Guys, you are in the same class. This is the instance method, which is going to operate on the current instance. So tell me, can this method access the current boxes width and depth and height, even if it is private? Of course, yes. So that is a trick question. 0 arguments are required here, because I just want to return the dimensions of the current box, dimensions of this box. Okay, so that is what it is. So here, I want to return the dimensions. So first thing is, you say return keyword. You want to return something. If the method is void returning, you don't even explicitly require it. But now we have a problem. We have got the dimensions in double, and I want to convert it into string. Anyone wants to tell me, how do I do it from double to string? Are you understanding? See, I'm going super slow over this, knowing that it is first example. Get box dimensions. Nikita, you're not clear with the question. I said how to convert a double into string. Extremely easy. Just append any data type concatenated to the string. Resulting type is a string. So here I'm starting with a string and with a header, box dimensions. Okay. So and now whenever I say concatenation is plus operator. Whenever I say this, the resulting type will be a string. So here plus. Now suppose I want to add the width first. So here if I say width here, is it a width of any box or is it a width of this box? Tell me, is it the width of the current box? Answer is this. So if somebody was asking me, that is why I'm asking you to restrain your questions. All your questions are going to get answered. So when I say width, what is the implicit keyword your compiler is going to add? Which is the keyword compiler will insert here automatically? This dot width. So here, for your understanding, I'm writing it explicitly. But is it required or not required? Not required explicitly, because there is no clash. There is no collision. There's no ambiguity. There's no shadowing, right? But to make you understand, I want to return this dot width, that is current box's width, current box's depth, and current box's height. So this dot width is fine. Now, if I don't add some separator such as space and all, they will be stuck together. So I'm adding a space here. So let me ask you, what is the data type of this highlighted word? String. What is the data type of this? Double. But when you concatenate string to a double, the resulting data type is string. And that is what our return type is. So all is well. Next one. So now I think you will understand. Suppose now I want to mention the depth. What should I write here? Is this dot depth required, or can I simply write depth? I can directly write depth. For your understanding, if you want, you can explicitly write this dot depth. But to show you it works, I'm writing here depth. And then I want to append the, what is it called? Height also. If I make a spelling mistake, shout. Are you getting it? So this is the functionality which operates on the data, action upon the data. And what is the action? It's a read-only action. It is getting the dimensions of the current box. We are concatenating it all in a string and returning it to the caller. If you are wondering why I'm not displaying it right here, why I'm not doing SOP, system.out.println, and why I'm not keeping the return type as void, the reason being, today, okay, I want to display it on the console. Tomorrow, means not literally tomorrow, sometime, I might want to store it in a file. Later, I might want to store, send it from the client to server. So don't hard code anything. Just let this method return a string and let the tester, let the user decide what to do with these dimensions. So this is the explanation of the action on the data. Double to string, Nilesh, I said it so many times. Whenever you concatenate any data type to a string, the resulting type is this. So I have achieved it by concatenating string to a double. That is what I did. And the answer is right in front of you. Okay. So that is the thing. Any data type, if you just concatenate to string, resulting type is a string. That is what we have achieved here. Okay. So now I'm going to give you a minute and I want the solution from your side. I'll tell you what I want. The next one. So give me a minute. So here, write a non-static method to return the computed volume. So I'm giving you a minute. Send me your answer on the chat. Write the method, declaration and definition yourself and show me quickly. But you understood the question? I'm waiting for you to write this. I'll wait. Don't worry. Void display Suruchi was not correct at all. Pushkaraj, yes, you are right. Guys, you are not reading this properly. Only acceptable answer currently is Pushkaraj's answer. Shubham, what is wrong with your answer? String. Is volume a string? No. Did I ask you to give me the string representation of volume? Read the question, guys, properly. Your reading skills are required. Understanding skills are required to return the computed volume of the box. So start with me. Tell me, how do you compute the volume? Product of the dimensions. So what will be the data type of double into double into double? Tell me, what will be the return type? Double is going to be the return type. Okay. And here I'll say get box volume. I hope you are understanding the norms. I'm not going to help you in the lab and I'll give the same message to other lab faculties if you are not following the naming convention. So what is the naming convention for a method? It has to start with a lowercase and then use camel casing. Same convention is for the data members. Start with the lowercase and then use camel casing. I've said this literally 20 times since yesterday. Please follow the norms. Otherwise, your code doesn't look professional. And when I take you to the Spring and Rust and all those advanced concepts in advanced Java, your code will fail. Okay, so please get used to the proper, proper conventions. Now, a one-liner, sorry. See, you can write it in multiple lines also, but when you can write it in single line, why waste time, right? So here, you could have written it as double result equal to this dot width into this dot depth into this dot height, but I can and then return the result. But can I combine it into one statement? Answer is of course yes. So think and answer. Do I have to say this dot width or simple width will suffice? Only width will suffice or do I require? Answer is system.out.println is not this required this one. Just a width will do. So here, but to make your understanding complete, I'll be using this keyword very often today, this dot width. But just to show you that it works even without this dot depth, sorry, into simply height. So when I say height, whose height it is referring to? Current box's height. And what is the keyword for use to use for current object reference? This. So it is going to compute current width, current depth, current box's width, depth and height, and return you the result. I got a feel from the lab session of yesterday that some of you are not able to build the logic correctly. So I'm going to spend a lot of time in giving you the tasks and you will be performing those tasks for, simple methods. I'll give you, this is what I want and I want to see how do you respond. That is how will be a great practice. So I'll stay quiet for the next minute. This is all we are going to write in the box class. And so go through it and don't ask me ahead of topic questions. Just ask, you can ask me any question on the things which we have written so far. And what I'm doing is, which I always do in all the batches. Just 1 second, Nilesh. I already said this. Think about what I keep saying. I'm sending you this. I'm sending you this box.java. So if anyone wants to, wants to copy it and use it or not, I've sent you. Sorry, I sent it to her. Please don't send me direct messages. Stop sending me direct messages. I'm not going to respond to any direct message, guys. Because others also should see your question. Yeah. So can we use W into D? W into D. What kind of a question? Here, if I say W into D, you will get a compiler error. What was the scope of W and D? W and D are only limited to this constructor. So identify the scope. There's no W and there is no D here. Are you understanding, Nilesh? Think about it first before jumping into a question. You understood what I said, Nilesh? Okay, so scope is important. The scope of it is only method local, only for this constructor, and we are talking about a different method. Okay, so this is your part 1. Tell me, if I compile this code, so Himanshu, again, what kind of a question? I already said this. It is equivalent to 100% width into depth into height. I already said multiple times. Okay, so tell me, if I just compile this class, if I have not made any spelling mistakes and all, will it compile even when there is no main method, or will it not compile? Compilation error or no errors? Answer is 100% it will compile. But will I be able to run it? Answer is absolutely not. You won't be able to run it because the starting point of execution is the main method. So now answer my next question. Can I add a main method right here? Public static void main, and import the scanner, create the scanner object, talk to the user, get the box order, and create the box. Can I add the main method and do all these jobs here? Answer is 100% yes. What stops me? But what stops me is the design principles. Whenever you are following the object-oriented practices, object-oriented programming practices, it emphasizes, it stresses that when you are writing a box, you should only focus on box-related details. But taking the order, getting the talking to the user is the user interface, UI. So why do you want to mix up the user interaction or the testing of this code along with the box? So here, this approach, even if it will work, technically I can add a main method, no issues. But for the purpose of separation, for separating your box related functionalities from the user interface, we are going to write another class. And that another class, we call it as a tester or test box or accept orders or, create boxes, something that will have only the user interface. Understood the point? Understood my point or not? Is the point clear or not? Separation is the answer. The driver code, the tester code, the UI code is we are going to write in a separate class. So here, looking at time, I'll just explain what we are going to do. And of course, after the break, we'll write that. So where is that thing? Have I not written? Okay, I have written. So here, I'll name it as create box. Okay, so create another class. I'll mention for the purpose of separation. Separation is extremely important. For the purpose of separation, we'll create another class. Let's call it as create box. What will be the job of the create box? User interaction, user interface. And since you don't have in your syllabus, you don't have GUI programming. we will have HTML forms and everything, but in that will be in advanced Java, web programming Java. Okay, so here we will simply have a scanner, text-based console, and will prompt user enter the box dimension. Okay, so that way it will be after the break. So we will create a box class. I'm sorry, another class called as create box. We will add a main function here, main method here. We are going to use our good old scanner to accept the box dimensions from the user. And how we will create the box instance, which keyword we are going to use to create the instance of the box? New keyword, absolutely right. And then once the box object is created, the instance of the box is created as per the user's order. User would like to see the details. So here is where we will display the details and the computed volume. So this is the task which we will perform after 1 hour's break. So let's have a let me stop here. Are there any urgent questions before we take a break? Are there any immediate questions which you have not understood and you are feeling totally lost? So I should talk to such people. Is there any immediate question, guys, before we take a break? Please. That's okay, Rishikesh. Okay, so that will be all, guys. So you think about it. Okay, so what I'll do is this one. Wait a second. I will share this entire readme. Is this? See, I'm sending you. I'm sending you this today's readme. Of course, it is going to get evolved further. But somebody was saying that give me the question in the chat box. So for him. So for Java help, D2 help. And this readme has that question that what is it you have to do. So I've sent you readme.txt, which contains the question, the next one, that create box question. So if you want, you can attempt that also. So that will be all. Let's have a break and resume at 11. See you around. You got it?